especially I was not able to stay till end of the meeting. Oh, I see that Diola just started the streaming on the YouTube. Okay, so let's join there. There will be some slight delay with the audio on the YouTube, definitely, instead of the meeting we are having here. Yola, do you have the link to this?
Yes, I think so. This is the link which is on this URL, so I think it is right. So I send it on this.
Okay, and mute.
Just
share that on this on the chat. I will just post them on the socials.
I was okay, so I will send you this. I thought.
Okay, or over the Slack or whatever. Okay, still a couple of minutes left. I don't see anyone joining yet, so yeah, there's still a couple of minutes more.
Oh yeah.
We haven't done anything with the women in technology groups in other locations yet. So this is awesome to have a chance to work with you guys. It's so cool. It's really given us another avenue to kind of research and figure out, should we get more involved in this group generally? So it's awesome.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I mean, we are the most active in the Polish market at the moment, and that's our main stream of getting involved people. And I think that would be great if we could involve you maybe because there is another project starting in the very beginning of the new year called the Tech Leaders, which is like the mentoring program, and it's the most known and most famous the projects that we are running. Over the years, we had each year we've got 60, 80 mentors delivering some support for these mentees, and it's work for one-to-one sessions over the 4 months. It's a very, very effective way of supporting people and knowing just helping step into the technology or just improve the skills or management skills, whatever. There is plenty of different types of cooperation between the mentors and mentees. So it's something that we are very, very proud of.
Yeah, definitely. I'll sync up with you after this call to see how we can work together a little bit more, and I'll check in with Michal about it as well. It sounds great.
Okay, I will mute myself for a second and have a look into the YouTube, what is going on there, and I will come back to you in a second.
Yeah, so we have a few minutes. I'm meeting our guests. So I hope some of them is joining us. Hello, everyone. We'll wait a few minutes. And maybe I'll start recording. Yes, that's true. So yes, on chat we can see the link to the streaming session. So you can share this with your friends. And yeah, if you don't register to this webinar on the Eventbrite, so it will be another opportunity to join to this event. I think we can wait a few minutes more, and I see we have few participants. So it's 8. I think we can start, and I'm so excited to be here and to welcome you on this live stream event, which is Women in Product Leadership at Apptio. And yes, I am admitting the participants and do things simultaneously. So I introduce myself. I'm Jola Biernat from the Women Technology Association, the community that has been gathering women around IT. And our main goal is to increase the professional competence of our community members and promote this idea of diversity. And this webinar is organized by our association and Apptio company during our Productive Moms project. And I would like to introduce our today's presenters. Alex, hi. Hello.
Hi, hello.
Some of you just joined us, so hello. And don't worry if some of you won't be able to participate in this event, in entire event. This will be it will be recorded and posted on YouTube. And on the end of this event, there will be Q&A sessions. So please participate. We would love to hear from you. And so welcome some of you who just joined. And Alex, the floor is yours.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. So very glad to be here. Very excited that so many people are joining. So I guess let's begin. Hello, and thank you everyone for joining us. So my name is Alex, as you've heard. I'm a product manager at Apptio, and I will be hosting this chat. And during the next 40-something minutes, we won't be focusing on code or fancy frameworks, but focus rather on what comes before that. So before doing any coding, we have to firstly figure out what to code and how to make sure that customers understand the value of what we're actually bringing to the table. And this is exactly the point where product management and product marketing come into play. So we're going to focus on those two disciplines today. So I'm joined here today by Sammy, Sharida, and Marissa, who are taking up senior product roles. And it's not a coincidence that we're all from the same company, Apptio. And our presence in Poland is quite fresh. We've just officially opened our Polish office in October. And yeah, before we deep dive into the conversation, let me tell you a little bit about the firm's background so that you know who we are and what we do. So the company itself was founded in 2007. So we've been around for a little while. And we currently have more than 20 offices all over the world. And most of our R&D centers, like they're located in Bellevue in States, in Bangalore in India, and latest one that we've just opened in Krakow in Poland. And right now, there are over 1,000 employees in Apptio all over the world, and we are rapidly growing. So in essence, we're a B2B software as a service company. And like going a little bit ahead of the conversation, so to make a great product, at first you need to find a great problem that we have to solve for someone and address it. And we were founded a while back in 2007 with a goal to track and optimize technology spend and investments. But a lot has changed since then, and so did we. We started with a single cost monitoring solution, but evolved into 3 main suites of products that address the key issues for our customers. And we identified the 3 main points. And the first one is we try and optimize technology funding and support continuous planning for our clients. Our clients are also undergoing cloud transformation and various challenges that they face depending on the journey and the stage of the journey that they're on. So we can be assessing their cloud migration plans, optimizing their hybrid clouds, or getting visibility into their SaaS or cloud spend, like pretty much anything cloud related. And last but not least, we are supporting our clients in adoption and scaling of agile frameworks that are in the center of driving current digital innovation. However, it's very tricky to measure and track spend and investment and value of these agile efforts. They're inherently much more difficult to plan than waterfall. So we're trying to make sure that our clients spend effectively there. And like traditionally, it's being done like through brute force. It's a combination of homegrown tools like spreadsheets for the most part, and like heroic efforts of employees just trying to overcome it like with manual efforts. And this is where we come in and try to make their life a little more simple. So we aim to provide our clients with a whole ecosystem of products that would give the visibility into technology purchases and flexibility to seamlessly track, optimize, and adjust their investments and purchases over time. Like we understand that any spending decisions that our clients do should be based on data first and foremost instead of gut feel. And we want the data to be at the tip of our clients' fingers. So if we speak a bit more about the products themselves, so we have three main suites, as I've said. They're called Apptio One, Cloudability, and Planability. And let's start with the first one. So Apptio One, it enables organization to speak a common language across finance and ITs and organization leaders so that they can make data-driven technology decisions and optimize costs and budget easier. Because like, as we all know, like usually like languages between finance and IT are very different and it's very hard to find common denominators there. And this is like the main goal of Apptio One. We allow to assess technology performance like at a glance and optimize cost and resources. We track and try to forecast the demand for IT services and invoicing. And we even provide benchmarking for our clients against the other peers who use the same solutions so that they know how effective they are against a group of their peers. So the second product family is Cloudability, and it enables our clients to optimize cloud costs and maximize the value of their like public cloud adoption. So like, as you may know or not know, a single monthly bill from a cloud provider, be it like Microsoft, Google, or Amazon, can have like many thousands of individual billing lines. And there may be like tens of thousands of individual like software as a service licenses in any large organization. Like it's very, very complex to track it manually and even understand where you're spending the money. And like, don't even get me started about the challenges of costing and planning cloud migrations. Like it's almost impossible to sort these things out manually. And here is where our Cloudability suite comes in. So we automatically work with billing data and analyze usage to try and fine-tune the cloud spend. Maybe we're overspending somewhere, maybe we're overbuying. We may like try to spend a little less on this and a little more on that. Like we can also extract all the software licensing data and analyze how many of those licenses are actually needed for the organization to function effectively. And we can effectively optimize costing with SaaS spending like a lot. And finally, we're also providing solutions to track and customize our clients' cloud migrations. And like last but not least is Planability. And tracking and managing agile development. It's proven to be a challenge for a lot of organizations, as agile is inherently more complex to forecast and budget upon as waterfall. Like we don't have like point A to point B projects and budgets and everything like that. So our target process suits, it aims to better align software development to work with business goals and objectives. So we take activity data from a multitude of systems with financials, and we try to optimize resources and try to track value delivered by agile teams across the whole organizations. But like, I'm sorry, I guess I got a little carried away with our products, and like we haven't got all day to speak about them. So I guess let me properly introduce the panelists and then like give you a quick outline on how the whole conversation is going to be going. So let's start with Sammy. Samantha is the product manager for Apptio's reporting, analytics, and collaboration products called Apptio BI and Apptio Comments and Collaboration. And she designs the vision, roadmap, and investment areas for these products to ensure that the needs of our customers are heard internally and implemented. She's been with us for 8 years already. She has taken on numerous roles during her tenure here. She started in pre-sales, transitioned to a solution architecture position, and eventually became a product manager a little more than a year ago. And moving on to Sharada. Sharada Panchagnula. I hope the last name was good. So Sharada is the Director of Product Management here at Apptio. She's leading Apptio One and Data Platform portfolio of products. And prior to Apptio, she worked in Pure Storage and Juniper, where she managed both product and engineering. And she's a problem solver and critical thinker with a growth mindset. And she's passionate about helping customers and doing her best to make them have successful outcomes. She's also enjoying mentoring and guiding others, and tries to help them to achieve their full potential. And last but not least is Marissa. Marissa Bennigan, she's a Senior Director of Product Marketing, and she has over 14 years of experience in global security technology and cloud product marketing and product management. And she's passionate about helping customers achieve their goals with the right technologies. And a couple of words about myself. So I'm a product manager in Apptio in Poland. So being here quite fresh since October, since we're opened. I used to work in consulting and in banking technology. And I'm not a complete stranger to the topic because my wife also works in tech, and I'm seeing pretty much every single day the challenges that she's facing that I don't have to face in this industry. Believe me when I say that I'm having it much easier than she does. So just without further ado, I'm going to be asking our panelists several questions, and at the end we're going to have a 10 minutes Q&A session. So I'll tell you when you can start pasting and asking your questions in chat. So we'll use just the Zoom chat functionality for Q&A. So I'll let you know. And yeah, let's dive deep into the talk finally. And my first question is going to go to Sharada. So Sharada, what is product management and how did you get into this role?
Absolutely. Thrilled to be here. Excited to be part of this panel. So let me talk a little bit about product management. Many times I see folks getting confused on product management, as the abbreviation PM could refer to project managers or even program managers, right? So here is how I would frame it. Product management is a practice of driving the development, market launch, and improvement of companies and or businesses' products, right? Products that continuously solve customer problems and then drive value. So some of the day-to-day tasks that we get involved in are include a wide variety of both strategic and tactical tasks, duties, right? Conducting market research, developing a product and a portfolio strategy itself, developing roadmaps and communicating what these roadmaps include to some of the key stakeholders within the company's organizations, as well as to our partners, customers, and field folks. And then also including developing and coordinating cross-functional tasks, and finally acting on feedback and data analysis that we continuously get from our product usage, as well as customers. So these are some of the areas that we as product management and product managers focus on.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're a jack of all trades. We have to make sure that the wheels are rolling, that we're delivering whatever is bringing value to our customers. And moving on to Marissa. And the question to you is what's product marketing and how does a product marketing person would partner with a product management? What are the key similarities, differences, unique traits to it?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this panel. I will try and answer that question as eloquently as Sharda answered the description of product management, because like product management, product marketing is often misunderstood as to exactly what we focus on and what our role is within a company. But if I had to sum it up in one sentence, I would say product marketing is essentially the driving force behind getting new products and innovations to market. This means that we represent the voice of the customer internally. We have to act as the masterminds of messaging, the enabler of our sales teams and our go-to-market teams, and help to accelerate adoption within our customer base and within the marketplace as a critical component of the go-to-market team. And we have to do this all at the same time. So I really view our role as kind of that connection, or if you will, the Google translator between product management and our customer-facing teams like sales and marketing. So we have to have a close partnership with both teams. Tactically, I would describe our tasks on a day-to-day basis to include things like running our competitive intelligence program, our win-loss program, our analyst relations, customer engagement program, defining our go-to-market strategy, and last but certainly not least, product messaging. A critical component of this role is to be a compelling storyteller. We are tasked with taking very technical functionalities and explaining it in a way that makes sense to the marketplace and ultimately to our buyers, which I describe as kind of the what. But also we need to, at the same time, be painting the picture of the why, presenting the technology in almost a humanized way that demonstrates its value to the audience in a way that's relevant, memorable, and last but not least, differentiated in the marketplace. This is where product marketers really need to balance their technical acumen, their market and customer knowledge, and their competitive knowledge with that creative side. And I see it truly as a mix of science and art at the end of the day. And when done well, it can be incredibly powerful as a tool to help our audiences better understand and ultimately better absorb our messaging and meaning versus simply presenting them with facts and figures. So that's one of the key elements that I think we partner very closely with product management on.
Okay, thank you. That was great.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the next one goes to Sammy. So Sammy, you transitioned, as we've all heard, from a lot of different roles and have a pretty unique background.
We're in New York, right?
Guys, I'm sorry, can you put yourself on mute? Thank you. Yeah, so you have a pretty unique background for a product manager. So could you tell me about how your transition was like and why ultimately did you want and ended up moving into the product management role?
Thanks, Alex. I was in sales previously for several years here at Apptio, and I worked closely with many of our customers. And really over time, I started to feel slightly fatigued. I wanted to get into a career path that would allow me the ability to really address our customer concerns and challenges that I heard every day. Although I worked closely with P&E to provide feedback, there was no guarantee that the things that the customers were requesting were actually going to go into the product. And so I wanted more control to make those decisions that could positively impact our customers' lives. And I felt my background in sales and working with customers directly could benefit the Apptio product team. When I first started in this role at the beginning of COVID back in March 2020, we went right into work from home. So it was a bit of a unique transition, to say the least, but common for a lot of folks who have changed careers or jobs during the pandemic. I didn't know exactly what I was doing, but because Apptio was willing to invest in me and support my transition, I felt really comfortable jumping right in. And I had the benefit of understanding all of our products beforehand. And so I really focused on building those product management skills and learning how to be impactful in this role. I found also peers who were willing to provide guidance and share their experience and knowledge, which helped as well create a smooth transition into product management.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And I agree, it's a lot to be scared of immediately. And the good thing is people of very diverse backgrounds come into PM, they can be technical, they can be more or less technical. And you can leverage your own strengths to become a great PM. And yeah, I'm very happy it's working out for you so well. So my next one is going to go to Sharada. And like you're a director already, you have a lot of years of experience, you've owned a lot of different products, and with all the different products that you've owned, how do you think about like setting up, establishing, and sharing a product strategy?
Absolutely, absolutely. So actually the first question that comes to mind is product strategy important, right? Is it important for us as a company, as a business, as a team to focus on, and if so, why, right? So I believe it is extremely important. Every product leader to develop a strategy, communicate it, and then drive alignment to be successful. So by setting a product strategy, you can determine the direction of your product efforts, right? It enables the company, the team, the business to focus on, say, a specific target market, customer segment, user persona, and the associated features to help solve customer problems and then again drive value, instead of trying to be everything to everyone, right? And that doesn't scale, that doesn't work out in many cases. So the way I see it is product strategy sets a North Star goal for every key stakeholder function to align to and then work together, right? We need to make sure that every function in the company is aligned to the strategy and works together and drives the outcomes for both the business as well as our customers. So, I mean, this is something which is extremely important for us to continuously develop, evaluate, and then assess and make sure that we do make the right decisions with regards to the particular strategy that we want to adopt as a business. So some of the key frameworks that I've adopted in the past and continue to think that is critical is where to play, how to win. And this is something which is extremely basic, but as and when we answer certain questions in this particular framework, for example, what is our winning aspiration, right? Where do we play? How do we win in these particular segments or with these particular user personas? What capabilities do we need in place in order for us to be successful? What are some of the management systems and what are the other adjacent capabilities that we need to have in order to be successful, right? So this is a kind of framework and certain set of questions that we as a product team and a business can adopt as well as comply with as and when we go about developing a strategy. Another framework that I found useful, especially when we're trying to operationalize this, is what I call Porter's 5 forces. They talk about they talk about the threat of new entrants, substitutes, bargaining power, and of both the customers as well as our suppliers, and then a competitive rivalry as well. So this again, not to take something very as is, but more to apply a framework on what they mean with some of these key aspects of the framework itself. And talking about competition, a very simple competitive analysis framework is just a simple SWOT analysis, like a strength and weaknesses, which is more inbound or inward looking, while opportunities and threats, which are more outbound looking or outward. So I believe that as we develop strategies and as we continue to evolve, having certain frameworks and just certain guiding principles will help each of us succeed and then set this North Star goal and execute towards this North Star mission and the company's vision as well.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Yeah, just as a small comment from my end, it's all about setting the goals and trying to achieve the goals and trying to align anything and everything that we do to whatever we strive to achieve, and not just do output for the sake of the output, pretty much. And yeah, my next one would go to Sami, and like just playing off how you had so diverse experiences before you joined product management, and like, what are, in your opinion, the key skills that you need to have to be successful, especially working in such a cross-functional role as PM, like both soft skills, technical skills?
Yeah, I think some of the key skills that you need as a product manager are good communication skills, both verbal and written, so you can effectively communicate your vision to your customers as well as internal teams like engineering, having analytical and decision-making skills as well, as there are often competing priorities and trade-offs to be made. Also, some of the soft skills that you might need are, empathy for your coworkers and customers, so you can understand their customer needs. And when it comes to working cross-functionally, being able to balance and work well with others, because you're working across many different parts of your organization, whether it's marketing, sales, customer success. And really patience is key so that you can fully understand your customers' problems and then translate those into a solution in your product. So those are some of the key skills I think are needed to be successful as a product manager.
Yeah, thank you so much. I can totally and fully relate to the patience portion of it, like being patient and being able to listen and understand what other people need. Yeah, thanks. Thank you so much. And yeah, the next one is going to Marissa. So you mentioned that representing the voice of the customer is like very important to product marketing. So how do you involve those customers as well as the markets and the industry points of view? How do you involve everything this together to make a product?
So I think we really consider customer feedback to be the lifeblood of all that we do. All of the storytelling that I mentioned earlier must be grounded in customer perspective and customer feedback to be relevant and meaningful to your audience. So we take customer feedback into consideration both at the creation of that content, but then also by testing its efficacy before, during, and after we roll that messaging out. We, as a team, both from the product management and product marketing side, work to have what's called a customer obsessed mindset. So what that ultimately means is we work to keep customer insights at the heart of all that we do, of the content that we create and of the technology that we develop. We then will balance that with industry points of view from competitive intelligence or analyst reports or news articles to further validate and refine our messaging, but also to work to stay ahead of trends as they emerge so that we can respond quickly with solutions that address customer pain points in a just-in-time manner, or sometimes, when we're really good, even before that pain point is realized by most customers. This helps really to solidify your team and your organization as a strategic partner to customers, not just a product that they're purchasing, because you're able to meet their needs when they have a pain point arise.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And yeah, if the customers are understanding and thinking that you're all in this together, trying to solve their issues, as in everything ultimately is an interpersonal relationship, and if they feel that you're on their side, it's going to go great between you and the customer, obviously. So yeah, and we have to listen a lot. And the next one goes to Sammy. So how do you incorporate the feedback that's coming from our customers into the product, into its life cycle?
Yeah, incorporating customer needs into a roadmap is a balance of many different factors. And it's something as a product manager, you constantly have to do. So some of the factors that I consider are customers, right? How many people will be impacted? How many people are requesting this feature or functionality, right? What is the impact? What does it impact? Does it impact their ability to use the product? Does this increase their satisfaction with the product, and how much so? The type of feature, right? Is this something that people expect to be there in the product versus a nice to have? And then lastly, effort is a factor as well. Does it relate to something that I've already planned on the product roadmap already? Would I be willing to trade off on the roadmap to make this happen? Is it just adding something that's already planned? There's many things that you have to consider when you perform these prioritization exercises, and understanding all of these factors and being able to tie it to data can help you inform your decisions. For example, a customer had previously asked me about a specific feature that I had never heard of. I worked with our customer success team to really understand the customer need, why the customer wants this feature, how often they use it today. And at the time, we determined it wasn't a high enough priority at the time. There wasn't enough data to support us altering our roadmap for it. Over the course of this last year, I found many other customers asking for this, providing examples and use cases. And so for 2022, we're actually adding it to our roadmap, given this additional data and information. So that's ways that you can incorporate customer feedback into your roadmap.
I think if I could jump into, this is definitely a point of partnership between PM and PMM, and an area where your product marketing partner can really help you to aggregate and collect those insights. At Apptio, we work together on what I call our customer engagement program, which is where we leverage events like a customer advisory board meeting or user groups or focus groups to help product management collect some of these insights and be able to ideate and refine product roadmaps directly with our customers. These sessions help to get, Sammy in front of customers regularly. And it also, from the product marketing side, can be an opportunity for us to pressure test our messaging and ensure that our user experience from a product perspective is seamless for our customers. I think that both the Apptio team and our customers walk away feeling like we've both benefited from those types of engagements. For our team, we walk away with great insights from the customers on what we need to build within our products to solve their problems. And for customers, I see the benefit almost as twofold. First, they develop a stronger connection to our product, having directly contributed and invested into its design and development. But most importantly, I think that there is a connection that is developed between customers and the people behind the technology that is developed, and really should not be understated, in my opinion. I think that connection point is what truly creates loyal customers, and is just, a kind of a natural development that is a result of connecting to each other and working together towards either solving a common problem or towards a common goal at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you so much. And yeah, it's like it's very good and very cool when everything is going like according to plan. You're having those sessions, everything is going on like smoothly, nicely, and like all the metrics are growing, everything as well. But like it's real life, it doesn't happen like this all the time. Sometimes like we have to adapt, we have to pivot. And yeah, the next goes to Sharada. So like when or why would you pivot a strategy for the whole product?
Absolutely. So pivoting or doing something different from what we have planned, right? That's a very tough decision. All of us have spent so much time in developing the product strategy, getting customer feedback, and working with engineering and field and CS to actually develop the product and then ship it and then launch it and then see users adopt it as well, right? However, we as product leaders and business leaders have to continuously assess, right? Some of the questions that come to mind are what's going well. So say we develop and launch a product, but this continuous assessment of having KPIs or success metrics is something which is absolutely essential, as well as evaluating and assessing them on a continuous basis. What's going well, what's not, right? How are each of these products performing in the market? Are they meeting up to customer expectations? Are they meeting some of the metrics that we ourselves have internally targeted for, right? Is the product continuing to solve the problems it was intended to solve? Because things could have changed, right? Some of the macroeconomic factors play a role here. Accelerated, say, technology disruptions, inflections in the market, and last but not the least, but one's own ability to continuously add value as well because of so many other external factors or even internal factors that we either have direct control over or don't either, right? So beyond the qualitative analysis, having data to back up some of the decisions, like whether we pivot, we don't pivot, is extremely important, right? Business metrics such as customer retention rate and churn rate and recurring revenue are some of the key metrics that we continuously evaluate and look at. Some of the product metrics, like product usage behavior patterns, especially if the product is intended for certain user personas, are they continuously using the product? Is it assessing certain behaviors? I mean, are they using the product every day? Are they coming in and using the product either on a weekly or a monthly basis? And things and metrics such as these are important for us to continuously evaluate, review, and then use in order to make certain business decisions. And last but not the least are customer metrics as well, right? Like CSAT scores or NPS numbers, which we want to continuously look at to see if we are satisfying customers, and if the customers are happy with the way we have delivered the solution or built the product, and it continuously solving their problems as well. So both the qualitative and quantitative analysis will help answer these questions. And some of the questions that I have are related to even life cycle management of within a particular portfolio, right? We have every product goes through these different maturity phases, all the way from concept to launch to general availability, and then you have the growth phase and then the maturity phase. But due to certain factors, we may have to sunset certain products, right? So there's this maturity and life cycle management that we have to continuously evaluate and assess, and then make the right decisions backed up with customer data, market data, as well as product and business data on a regular basis. And then some of the questions that we have to answer is, do we stop investing, right, in these areas? Or do we continue to invest? And if so, how much? Do we double down in these areas? So those would be some of the key questions that we as product and business leaders have to continuously assess, evaluate, and review in order to make the decision of whether we pivot, don't pivot, and then where our focus needs to be. And then we redefine the strategy, right? We came up with a particular strategy. We went through some of the numbers and some of the analysis, and then eventually, as and when we continuously assess, we then decide, do we pivot? Do we redefine? Do we do something different? If so, why? And then go through this continuous phase of, again, the product strategy piece, and then going from concept to launch.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So yeah, it's like, as we've said, like we as company, we're aiming to like get the data that our customers need at our customers' fingers, and like we try to live by what we preach. So we also try to have data and based everything on data, because gut feel is a good thing, but if you have something like to back up your assumptions with, like this is how you can like make proper and informed decisions. Yeah, I totally and completely agree with that. And yeah, it's like switching up a little bit. So we'll pivot a little bit from the product and dive deep into some little bit more personal, because like this panel, this platform is named like Women in Tech. So I guess let's have a round of sharing some personal stories. And yeah, I'll start with myself. Well, actually not myself, but my wife. And like, let's speak about like the main challenges that women in IT face regularly, daily. So like my wife's one was like really connected with like the most important moments, arguably, in every people's life is like the birth of their first child. And like she tried to do her best to balance it all, balance the work, which she liked a lot, with pregnancy, with preparing to give a new life to the world. And like she stayed up very long hours, and she dedicated herself to work as well. And like she, like in the Polish reality, she went to maternity like quite late in the term. And after all that and all the contributions she's done, was still passed over for promotion for that particular year, because like the justification was that she didn't have the full year spent. And like she was very, very heartbroken about it. And yeah, but she it's not a bad ending story. Like she persevered. Like our little girl is like she's almost 2 years old now. So, and after returning, she wasn't silent. She like voiced her concerns about what had happened. And they built up a plan with her like client manager, with her mentor, and she got what she deserved last year, the next year. So ultimately it was like a happy ending for her. But yeah, like she had, if she were silent, we didn't know like how it ended up. So she had to speak up. She had to be to defend herself, to be strong for herself. And like she managed to do it, which was tough for her. She needed a lot of support. But yeah, it ended up quite well. So I guess let's move on. Let's ask Marissa. So what are your main challenges as a woman in technology?
Yeah, so I think, everyone experiences it a little bit differently. I'm glad that your wife, voiced her concerns and hopefully has spurred some change at her organization, and has certainly, I think, influenced your perspective on it as well. I think that, for me, thinking about it from a personal perspective, I struggled a lot early in my career combating these feelings of being an outsider in meetings where perhaps I was the only woman. And I think that the way that I approached it was looking for ways to connect with my team, whether it meant I had to learn a little bit about what was happening in the sports world at the time. I took some golf lessons. And overall just made a concerted effort to learn about my colleagues on a more personal level. I think that in doing this, it really helped me to feel more comfortable expressing my opinions, even when perhaps they were contradictory to what had been done before or popular opinion at the time. But it certainly was a give and take. I didn't and couldn't, in my opinion, expect everyone to know how I was feeling right off the bat and make accommodations. I think that by putting myself out there and making steps towards creating that connection, it encouraged them to do the same thing. And ultimately, we were able to develop a trust in each other and a safe space where, I could help my colleagues that perhaps didn't realize that the way things have always been done perhaps made certain situations exclusionary for women. So I think that I helped influence it, early on in my career from a very personal perspective in that way. And going through it, to me, I think surfaced two key takeaways that I would share with this team. I think that, first and foremost, think about ways that you can connect with people. I think that always helps to create a foundation to move forward from, and helps everybody to understand that no one's coming from, a place of anger or anything like that. It's really all discussions with the intent of improving the way things are done in the future, and helping the future generation a little bit as well. And I think, that is the key second point, is to help others. I think that there are ways that you can help the men in your life to better understand what we're feeling, so that it influences in their workplaces through them. But also you can help the young women around you and help give them a hand up as well. I help to mentor folks. I know, Sharda, you're passionate about mentoring women as well. And I would tell, the attendees on the line, if you don't have a mentor, find one. I think that, they can come in many shapes and sizes, different genders, different roles, formal or informal. But if you find someone that inspires you, that you can relate to, and really work to build out your bench of, advocates, consultants, advisors to go to in a time of need or a time of professional or personal struggle, it can really help to give you that support and that strength that you need to continue progressing forward and advance.
Okay, cool. I got really interested on the second part and the mentoring part. So let's try and focus on that. Do you have any examples of the ways of helping others and helping them to go through their own situations? Do you have anything to share with us?
Yeah, I can kick it off, and I certainly invite Sammy and Sharda to join in. I think that as I view how to best help others, it is really developing a focus on the importance of having women at the table and having diverse perspectives represented in strategic decision making at all levels, really, but particularly at the top of organizations. I think that from a purely academic perspective, there's lots of research out there that helps to show that having at least one female board member helps to improve board performance. And I think that, that can cascade at all levels of an organization. Having, females at a executive level within an organization certainly helps the company to perform better as well. I think that removing that element from a social perspective, it really helps to have women engaged at this level of conversation to break down barriers and perhaps adjust workplace culture to be more supportive of women for the future, to bring them up into leadership positions and provide that inspiration for younger generations. I think that, there's an adage that if you can see it, you can be it. And it really helps to have women, at earlier stages of their career see themselves represented at these, upper echelons of organizations and have that to aspire to. I think that in my professional and personal life, there are ways that I work towards, advancing this idea and keeping it top of mind. I think oftentimes creating a dialogue around this topic can go a long way to removing any kind of stigmas and just creating a general awareness. I think having a platform for this type of global discussion and exchange like today is phenomenal. And I think I speak for the full panel in expressing the gratitude to the Women in Technology team for giving us this opportunity. But I do think that it is all of our responsibility to make space for these discussions to happen, in smaller venues and exchanges as well. And to really keep it at the forefront for our own organizations if we want to continue progressing towards a workplace and a leadership culture that fully considers and supports women in leadership positions.
Yeah, I would like to add to that as well. So I believe that it's a give and take policy, right? Each one of us, one, has to give back and at the same time see if we could have this mindset of learning from every single opportunity that we encounter. So any sessions or any meetings, be it customer meetings, be it meetings with engineering, meetings such as this particular session that is ongoing, even in our personal lives, for example, meeting with, say, parents of our children, right? Children's friends. So every opportunity to learn from as well as give back is the way I see us becoming mentors, as well as making sure that we learn as well. And so, yeah, I would take every opportunity and leverage it to the best of our ability.
Thanks.
I have a actual specific example that I can share with the group that I think many might relate to. I apologize, Alex, for interrupting you.
No, it's totally fine.
So in my first 6 months here as a product manager, I took over Apptio's reporting and analytics platform. And when I shared my role publicly, I was actually met with a lot of concern and doubt around my ability to own such a strategic initiative, mainly from many more experienced men that I knew. And it really impacted my confidence, not only as a relatively new PM, but also because I was taking on this larger scope of work. And so for the next couple of months, I really struggled with imposter syndrome, questioning every decision I made, if I was good enough for this role. And part of me also felt like if I was a man, there was no way they would question my abilities, let alone say it to my face. I eventually overcame the imposter syndrome as I started to spend more time in the product, developing processes, focusing on things that I could control. All of those things that I felt I didn't worry about anymore because I became more confident in what I knew and could deliver. But as human beings, we all may have experienced imposter syndrome when we're getting into a new role or trying something new for the first time. It's a common experience, which unfortunately we don't really talk about enough, and we should talk about this. How I got around it was building my confidence, digging in and understanding the product the best I could to show that I could do this job and do it well. I also recommend, identifying people to talk to, whether they are your peers, your mentors, your family or friends, help push you and reassure you when you can't do it yourself. I think that that's an experience that not just women in tech encounter. It also, expands beyond that. But I think, my experience was specific to a challenge that I encountered as a young female in technology.
Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Although I'm a man, I can definitely relate to imposter syndrome. Like I'm like 1.5 months into the job and I'm like heavily experiencing it right now. So yeah, hopefully it's going to pass quite soon. And yeah, like Sharada, do you have like anything to share with us?
Absolutely. So I'm going to introduce a little bit of behavioral psychology here, so bear with me. So I believe that it is natural for us as human beings to include and engage with like-minded people, right? When we start having conversations, we start looking for similarities, right? But and in general, functions like sales and product management and product marketing have less diversity, right? If I were to look up statistics, sorry, I'm bringing in numbers here, but 25, 30% and a little over 30% is where the diversity numbers are in these functions, right? So what I found is that many a time it is tough for us as women, especially in these functions, to be just included by default. I mean, I'm assuming that they're just going to include me, right? But I've been wrong, right? Many situations I've been wrong, and the inclusion doesn't happen by default because of what I just mentioned before. So the way I've adapted to situations like this is to just demonstrate the value that I, as a product leader, can bring to the table, especially with customers and partners, where I develop credibility in every possible way, and then add to the conversation, right? Have a seat at the table and add meaningful value to what's being discussed or reviewed or assessed or evaluated, and then doing my due diligence in order for me to be credible in those situations, right? So things like that I found extremely useful, to just start getting, and then you get included by default, and then it just happens, right? So I believe that we should be very conscious that, one, we provide a very diverse perspective, and that we should never underestimate the value that we deliver in these situations, right? So and then another key thing that I've found is, many a time we as women don't voice what we need. This is not related to that specific, but we don't voice what we need, and we assume that things are. I mean, people should realize it. But many a time it's not intentional. People are not aware, are probably oblivious to what's going on or what are needed. And we as women absolutely have to have, one, the courage as well as the psychological safety to make sure that we continuously voice what we need and what we think is going to help us just in our daily lives, being as part of these functions. For example, I've seen dedicated parking spots for pregnant women, right, in many companies, or even like a mother's room on every floor. Things like that work probably through feedback sessions, but many companies are slowly, of course, they make very conscious decisions, but we have to continuously voice what we need and make sure that we are heard within our company as well as organizations.
Yeah, thank you so much. And hopefully there will be like a lot more spaces like this panel where like the voices can be heard. And like I'm being mindful of time a little bit. So this is going to be the last question before we go into Q&A. So feel free to submit your questions via Zoom chat. And yeah, let's make it a bit more high-hearted. So yeah, let's speak about literature. So what are your favorite books, or what would you recommend to women in technology? And yeah, let's start with Sammy.
So I would recommend start with Why by Simon Sinek. As product managers, it's important to understand our why. Why do we do the things we do, especially as it relates to your product? You know, why are we creating the product? Why do people need it? So start with Why by Simon Sinek.
Okay, cool. And Sharada?
Absolutely. So I have the book. It's called, I don't know if people can see it, but let me see.
Yeah,
Dare to Lead.
Now we can for a bit.
Let me make sure that So it's a book. It's called Dare to Lead by Brené Brown. Just to quote her, she says, the courage to be vulnerable is not about winning or losing. It's about the courage to show up when you can't predict or control the outcome. This is from the book Dare to Lead. So I find that in the product management world, we're always in situations where we're not in complete control, right? We're responsible, but not in complete control. So I believe each one of us is a brave leader. And then this book talks about how we can succeed in a complex world and build a courageous culture, right? And this is something that I truly believe in. And this is something that I strive being part of a company culture and then building the courageous aspect within the organization. So again, highly recommend. She's one of my favorite authors. She has TED Talks, she has podcasts, she has written a bunch of books. And yeah, so that's my favorite.
Okay, thanks. And yeah, Marissa.
Sure, I love that, Sharda. I don't think that my pick is quite as exciting and glamorous, but it is a book that I have kept coming back to at all stages of my career. It's called The First 90 Days, written by Michael D. Watkins. And I have found it to be a great kind of centering point as I embark on new projects or new roles to help keep me focused on making immediate and positive impact. I think that this is one book that has always provided me with strategies and real life guidance on how to advance my career professionally. And I have it as well. It looks different now because this is actually the worn out copy that my mentor provided to me about 10 years ago. So if you go look it up on Amazon, it looks much fresher and brighter nowadays. But it is definitely one that I recommend to people consistently as a helpful tool in advancing your career.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. It was visible that you're returning to that book a lot.
I do.
Yeah. And yeah, what can I say? The audience isn't being too active or something's wrong technically. I hope it's the latter, not the former. So I guess I'll take up this space of the audience as well. And just like as a side note, like the main reason that I joined Apptio was probably the sense of culture of the company that I've had during my interviews there. So like if anyone can like speak up and like describe the culture that we have here at the company, specifically the product management, product marketing culture.
Yeah, I can start. I think that if I had to describe kind of two of the key elements of our team's culture, I think that I would say we all have a bias towards action. We're all, feverishly trying to meet the needs of our customers and helping to drive their success and want to do it all yesterday. So, it definitely keeps the day-to-day interesting and ever-changing, and I think creates new learning opportunities across our team. And the second thing that I would highlight is not only do we have a bias towards action, but we also have a strong bias towards analytics. I think that we are all looking to data to inform our decisions and to help us kind of stay on the right path from a customer insights perspective, but also from a marketplace perspective. Sharda or Sammy, I don't know if you would add anything else to that.
Hi, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I would agree to what Marissa said. The other piece is the customer obsession aspect, where we absolutely are focused on solving customer problems, being another key aspect of how we want to, within Apptio, drive the culture, and then teamwork is another key aspect that we focus on, and make sure that we are able to contribute to everyone else's success within the company, and focus on building a team as well as a culture where we succeed as a team. Yeah,
thanks a lot. And yeah, we have a question coming from the audience, and like, do you have any persona? Do you have a woman like in tech that you admire, and yeah, that you want like to have a shout out for? So it's an open question. Anybody?
Yeah, I can share one that comes to mind for me. So she's not necessarily like the typical exec at a technology company, but her name is Debbie Sterling, and she created a company called Goldie Blocks, which was focused on providing toys to girls that help to stimulate their interest in STEM and in engineering. And I just loved her approach at kind of tackling it at such an early age and combating some of the social expectations that sometimes our toys put forth onto young men and young women. And she's a killer marketer at the same time. So I loved kind of watching her progression from a startup to now a full-scale company, and the marketing that went along with it.
So one person that comes to mind, I mean, I've admired her. She's an Indian American businesswoman, Indra Nui. She's the former CEO of PepsiCo, a very internationally well-known brand. She recently had a book. She's promoting her book as well. So she talks about her challenges just growing up in India and how she was able to climb up the corporate ladder and become successful, right? There are very small incidents that she narrates, and then you can quickly relate to it from time to time. And then, so those are some of the key aspects, again, going back to the like-mindedness, right? So immediately connect and relate to incidents or situations that have happened to other people, and then you feel empowered. That's the way I feel when I listened to her, or even when I recently read her book.
Okay. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's time. It's like even hours. So I guess this concludes it. Oh yeah, we have another one. Yeah. Okay, so let me read it out loud. So not closing yet. How do you deal with men on your team who constantly and openly doubt your knowledge or experience just because you're a woman? Yeah, and the person is saying that they've had a one-to-one with the team member where they try to resolve the conflict, but the conflict just keeps repeating itself. Like some practical advice here is quite necessary.
I think the best advice that I would offer is, almost an echoing of one of the points that Sharda made earlier. I think that it is about showing up every day. And not being afraid to use your voice and prove your value. I think that's something that I've always, tried to keep in mind as I go into meetings, that if I want to be invited back, and this should go for anyone regardless of gender, but if I want to be invited back to the table, I need to make sure that, I'm showing up and I'm contributing in a meaningful way. And that's how I try to approach my work. I think that if someone was, openly trying to doubt my knowledge or tear me down in some way, the best way to combat that is to be on top of your game and to know what you're talking about to the best of your abilities and not let it get to you. Usually it means that there's, an insufficiency that they recognize in themselves, and it's just displaying itself outwardly and projecting to you.
Absolutely. I think, thanks, Marissa. I would say the same thing. First is show up, right? Show up with the courage that we need to address the situation, open-mindedness. There's always a human component, no matter who we're engaging with humans, right? And we talk to humans and having conversations. So there's always a human component that is part of the conversation. Empathy is one piece as well. But then in order to just make sure that our voice is heard, develop credibility with whatever it is, equip ourselves with the right, doing the due diligence with the right knowledge or with the right information that is needed to deliver the outcome, right? Making sure that meetings are, or at least conversations have a clear outcome or a purpose is one thing, and then how do we get there? As long as the goal and the purpose is understood and aligned, and I think focusing on that and how each of us contributes to achieving that is half the battle. And then I think making sure that we're able to have the right information and knowledge and credibility to address those situations. Did that help answer the question, Maria?
Yep, she said, thanks for the tips.
Yeah. Well, and like, yes, it did. That's great. So unless anything else is coming up in the next couple of seconds, like we're officially closing up. Thank you everybody for participating. Thank you, Sharada, Sammy, Marisa for being here with us. This is it from Apptio's side. Does the panel has anything else to say, or we're closing?
So for me, really thank you for your sharing, and for me it was really exciting, and I learned a lot from you. So if everyone has some questions or want to say something right now, I think it's the moment, or I will just end this meeting. So I can see some questions on this chat. Oh.
No, it's no questions, just best wishes from the audience.
So
yeah, thank you. Thank you all so much for being here with us. You all have a great day, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening to this. Thank you.
yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.